Your dad also tells me there was one point when he was electrocuted here in this world.
Yes.
What? How do you connect with that?
He was electrocuted on his cow fence.
Listen, wait a minute now. We don't have cow fences in Rhode Island. I don't know what the hell that is, cow fence. First of all, there's a couple souls that are trying to get my attention. First of all, I have your grandmother here that's passed, that's on the other side. But there's a soul that's here that's telling me that they passed. I felt that they had gone through an operation and passed.
Yes. My dad.
He's here. Because he kept saying to me, Matt, I was supposed to survive this. I was supposed to survive this. And I kept seeing like somebody just flatlining and die. Did they send him back home from the hospital or send him back? Because he keeps telling me I couldn't stay. They sent me home early. They sent me home early. And then he just died. I am so in shock with this over this right now because your dad, first of all, wants to apologize for everything that you saw with his passing. You know, there's a lot to this story because when I'm connecting with your dad, there's so much hurt and pain that you still feel. Because he said to me, Matt, he goes, please let my daughter know one thing. Our relationship wasn't perfect here in this world, he tells me. He says to me that you were hard-headed and he was even harder. He says to me, and Matt, he goes, we used to fight with one another. We used to get pissed with one another. There were times when we didn't talk. He says, but we always found our way back together. Is that true? Yes. He says to me this. He says to me, what was so tough is that those last years of your dad's life was a time when the two of you have gotten really, really close with one another, he tells me. He says, and Matt, he says, we would talk every day. We would spend time with each other every day. And I felt like this was the only time with me and my daughter's life that we really got to bond in a different way. Is that true?
Yes.
He says to me this. He says, what was so tough is that the moment that your dad got sick, you were there for him. And he said to me that you thought that he was okay. Like you thought that he was going to be completely fine because he had gone through this operation, this procedure. And I see like the hospital saying that your dad is good. And then I see him coming home. Oh, I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't even want to tell you, but I hate when spirits show me things that I don't want to say, but I have to tell you everything. And this makes me so upset because I see him coming home and he shows me him getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I see him calling the doctors and telling them about the symptoms that he was having and the problems that he was having within his body. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, like I saw that nobody took this seriously and your dad just died. He said to me, Matt, he goes, what was so tough is I keep hearing fluid buildup. He was having some type of a fluid buildup within his body.
Yes, he did.
And he talks about literally when I'm connecting with your dad, I feel like I'm drowning when I'm speaking to him. Your dad says to me, I was not supposed to pass in this way. He goes, but Matt, he goes, by the time that anyone paid attention, he says it was too late and my body just gave out, he's telling me. So your dad, first of all, wants to apologize for everything that you saw, but he's also wants to apologize for the way that you weren't able to save him here in this world. Because you think back and you say, oh my God, I wish that I would have gotten to the doctor sooner. I wish that I would have fought more for my dad. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Your dad tells me this. He goes, my whole life, he goes, I did not take care of myself here in this world, he tells me. He says, I ate what I want. I did what I want. He says, and back when I was younger, he goes, I tried everything there was, he tells me. Do you know that?
Yes.
He says, but the hardest thing was about my passing. He says, because I saw how hard it was for my daughter to have to say goodbye. Your dad's telling me that this is proof of validation that he's with you every day. And he's also telling me, because Matt, tell her about the hats. I know she kept hats of mine, he's telling me.
Yeah.
So you have his hats here in this world. And what's so weird is that he's telling me they smell like him here in this world. And your dad's like, he's got this like smoky smell about him when I'm connecting with him. And also he says to me, he goes, Matt, he goes, please let her know that I'm the one that's in her house because you keep hearing footsteps in your house, he tells me. Is that true?
Yes.
That's crazy because he tells me you didn't tell anybody about that. Like nobody knows. He goes to me, Matt, that's me. That's me. He's telling me, he goes, I come in, I check up on her. But he tells me this, your dad goes to me, Matt, he goes, I can't believe that I died like this because I've been through a lot of shit in my life, he said to me. And you know what's weird? I can't believe, this is when your loved ones say things that are far-fetched, like I never want to believe them, but I always tell you what they tell me. Your dad also tells me there was one point when he was electrocuted here in this world.
Yes.
What? How do you connect with that?
He was electrocuted on his cow fence.
Listen, wait a minute now. We don't have cow fences in Rhode Island. I don't know what the hell that is, cow fence. How many of you here have a cow fence? He goes to me, now I was electrocuted and I survived. And then he's showing me about like, there was one time where like back when he was younger, he was telling me like the car almost rolled all over him. Like he showed me all these, wait, you know about that too?
Yeah, an engine fell on him.
How do you know all this?
Because he used to tell me everything.
Listen, this is why I tell you all of the, even though they sound ridiculous and crazy to me, I tell you everything that your loved ones tell me. And your dad's going to be, I was almost crushed over here. He's like, I was almost run over here. He goes, I had this issue where I was electrocuted. He's like, and of all the ways I die, he goes, I died from this stupid procedure, he tells me.
Yep.
Your dad says to me, Matt, he goes, I got to tell my daughter one thing. He says, here in this world, I was tough stuff. He says, and I didn't think that I was going to die. So he says, please let her know that the one thing that I am grateful for is the fact that I passed so peacefully. Because he says to me that from him, it was like falling asleep and waking up in heaven. He says to me, and I want my daughter to know one thing. He says, even if I were to survive this, I wouldn't have been the same person that she knew and loved. He says, my body had just given out. And what had happened to him caused damage in many different ways. Because he's showing me that at the end, his head was affected, because he was telling me my head. I keep hearing of motor skills being impaired. So when I see that, that means to me that whatever had happened had caused him not to be able to move or not be able to, I keep feeling this tightness in my body. And your dad says to me, please let her know I would have never been able to be the same person. So your father says to me, Matt, he goes, let my daughter know this. Even though I died, he says, I'm with her in a different way. I'm watching over her every day. And more importantly, he says, I want her to know that my soul is at peace. And if I'm at peace, he says she can be at peace. So let her know that I'm not missing out on anything in her life. Those footsteps she's hearing is me throughout her house, and please let her know that I'm there. I really hope that this helped you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to leave you with that.